Kamala Harris. Her name echoes across lecture halls, dorm rooms, and the quiet corners of campus quads, an invocation of hope, defiance, and the relentless desire for change. On a crisp autumn afternoon, when the golden leaves drifted slowly to the ground and the campus buzzed with the everyday rhythm of student life, that name ignited a conversation that would ripple through the hearts and minds of all who listened. It was a day like any other on campus. The quad was alive with energy, groups of friends laughing under the bright sky, students hurrying between classes, and the gentle chime of the campus bell punctuating the air. Beneath the sprawling branches of an ancient oak tree, a silent witness to generations of ideas and dreams, a small circle of students had gathered. They wore their convictions proudly on t-shirts and handmade signs, and among the many slogans and messages, the name Kamala Harris was emblazoned as a rallying cry for progress and justice. For these students, her name was not merely a reference to a political figure. It was a symbol of the belief that a better, fairer world was possible. At the center of this group was Rhea, whose eyes shone with both passion and empathy. In a clear, measured voice, she began, "We are here today not only to demand change, but to build it. We look to leaders like Kamala Harris because she has shown us that hope is not passive. It is an active force that can transform injustice into opportunity." Her words, spoken with a quiet intensity, resonated with everyone around her. Nods of agreement and soft murmurs filled the space beneath the oak as each student found a spark of their own dreams reflected in her tone. A few paces away, along a winding path that cut through the quad, walked Arjun, a conservative student known for his thoughtful perspective and respectful demeanor. Arjun's journey on campus had not always been easy. His opinions often differed from the prevailing narratives, and he had experienced the sting of being dismissed without a fair hearing. Yet, beneath his reserved exterior lay a fervent belief in the power of dialogue and the importance of hearing every voice. Today, fate would bring him face to face with the gathering under the oak, setting the stage for a conversation that promised to challenge as well as enlighten. Arjun paused at the edge of the circle. The animated chatter softened as he stepped closer, his voice steady and genuine as he said, "Hello everyone, I see that you all share a vision for progress, a vision that inspires me, even if my own views sometimes diverge. I am not here to diminish your hopes, but rather to ask if we can create a future where every perspective is valued, even when it challenges our own beliefs." His words carried a blend of humility and determination that quieted the group even. Rhea met his gaze and offered a warm smile. "Arjun, we welcome your voice," she replied softly. "This gathering is about building bridges, not walls. We believe in fighting for what is right, and part of that fight is learning from those who think differently. The strength of our movement lies in our ability to have honest conversations." A thoughtful silence fell over the group before Amir, a soft-spoken student with earnest eyes, spoke up. "I sometimes worry that in our passion to defend our ideals, we might inadvertently shut out voices that could strengthen our cause. Are we truly willing to listen to every perspective, even those that might unsettle us?" His question hung in the air, inviting reflection. Arjun nodded in agreement. "I have felt the isolation that comes when your views are dismissed without a real conversation. Progress is not made by one voice dominating the narrative. It is made when we all contribute our ideas, even if those ideas challenge what we hold dear." His words were simple yet powerful, echoing through the quiet space under the oak. As the afternoon wore on, the conversation deepened and shifted from initial hesitations to a rich exchange of personal stories and ideals. Rhea recalled one of her favorite moments from a speech by Kamala Harris. "I remember her saying that hope is the antidote to despair, that it compels us to act even in the darkest times. She urged us not just to shout for change, but to listen to one another and find common ground." Her voice carried both admiration and a tinge of wistfulness, as if recalling a long-held dream. Arjun's reply was measured and thoughtful. "I share that belief. I stand here today because I believe that if we truly open our hearts and minds, if we allow ourselves to listen, even when it is difficult, we can bridge the divides that separate us. I'm not here to erase our differences, but to celebrate them as the building blocks of a richer future." The circle's energy began to shift from cautious dialogue to an enthusiastic sharing of experiences. Neha, a quiet student with reflective eyes, spoke in a soft, trembling voice. Growing up, I was taught that if you didn't agree with the majority, you were wrong. But here, among all of you, I see that every voice has its own value. I feel that when we allow ourselves to be heard, we discover that our differences are not obstacles. They are opportunities for growth. Her words resonated deeply, and Arjun added, Our personal experiences shape us, but they do not have to define the boundaries between us. Each conversation, especially the challenging ones, gives us the chance to learn and evolve. True progress is born from engaging with every perspective, not by silencing those we disagree with. As the sun began its slow descent, casting long shadows across the quad and painting the sky with hues of amber and lavender, the group's conversation took on a more reflective tone. The energy of the day softened into something almost sacred, a collective moment of introspection where the noise of daily life receded and only the voices of truth remained. Ria, her voice steady and filled with quiet resolve, said, When I hear the name Kamala Harris, I no longer think of it as just a political slogan. I see it as a call to action, a reminder that hope is something we must actively nurture. It's a force that inspires us to confront injustice, to challenge the status quo, and to build a future where every voice is heard. Her words, imbued with passion, seemed to light a fire in the hearts of those. Arjun's voice grew even softer, yet it carried an unwavering conviction. Every great movement in history was born from the willingness to listen to the dissenting voices, to learn from every challenge, and to transform conflict into opportunity. I stand here today to ask that we embrace our differences as the very elements that make us stronger. Let our dialogue be a testament to the power of collective understanding. The conversation under the ancient oak continued for what felt like hours, evolving into an intricate tapestry of ideas, reflections, and shared dreams. One by one, students began to recount moments from their lives, experiences of feeling isolated because of their beliefs, the times when a kind word or a listening ear changed the course of their journey, and the deep-seated hope that, despite everything, a better future was within reach. Vikram, who had been quiet for much of the discussion, finally spoke in a voice that trembled with both vulnerability and hope. I once believed that to protect what we cherish, we had to push back with all our might, sometimes even forcefully. But today, I am beginning to wonder if there is strength in restraint. If we can learn to listen, perhaps we can build something even more powerful than mere opposition. His words, raw and honest, drew quiet nods from around the circle. Sana, a gentle soul known for her quiet wisdom, added softly, I have seen the damage that harsh words and closed minds can do. Yet I have also witnessed the healing that comes from a sincere conversation, a moment when someone truly listens without judgment. It is in these moments that I believe we find the courage to move forward together. As the evening deepened into night, the campus quad transformed into a sanctuary for honest exchange. The gentle glow of street lamps and the soft rustling of leaves created an atmosphere that was both intimate and expansive, as if the entire world had paused to listen. The dialogue shifted to broader reflections on the nature of leadership, the responsibilities of those who dare to speak, and the ways in which personal transformation can ripple out to create societal change. Arjun's eyes shone with a quiet intensity as he spoke. I have learned that every conversation is an opportunity, a chance to challenge our own assumptions and to see the world through another's eyes. It is this willingness to listen that has the power to bridge even the widest divides. I believe that true leadership is not about forcing one's ideas onto others, but about creating spaces where every voice is valued, where every story adds to our collective understanding. His words, spoken with genuine conviction, seemed to echo off the walls of the night. Rhea, her voice carrying both the weight of hope and the lightness of possibility, continued. I always admired Kamala Harris for her unyielding commitment to justice. But today, I have come to see that justice is not achieved by one voice rising above all others. It is achieved when we come together, when we listen, and when we build a community that values each perspective. It is in the quiet moments of understanding that we find the seeds of change. Her gaze swept over the group, and in that moment, every person felt that the conversation was not just about ideas, but about the very essence of what it means to be human. Over the next several weeks, the impact of that transformative afternoon spread throughout the campus like ripples in a pond. Classrooms became venues for open, respectful debate. Dormitories, once marked by quiet isolation, began to hum with the energy of shared ideas and collaborative discussions. Faculty members, inspired by the courage and vulnerability of their students, organized forums and seminars that celebrated the art of dialogue, a space where every voice, regardless of background or belief, could contribute to a richer, more inclusive understanding of the world. In one such forum, held in a sunlit lecture hall adorned with student art and hopeful banners, a professor asked the question that had come to define this new era on campus. What does it truly mean to lead in a time when every voice is unique? After a thoughtful silence, a student responded, "Leadership is not about imposing a single vision. It is about fostering an environment where every perspective is valued. It is about having the humility to listen, the courage to change, and the empathy to understand that every voice, no matter how different, holds a piece of our shared truth." The room filled with warm applause, not for a singular ideology, but for the collective promise of unity and progress. As the semester unfolded, new student organizations emerged. Groups dedicated not solely to political activism, but to bridging the divides that had long separated various factions on campus. Arjun and Rhea, now seen as catalysts for change, were frequently invited to speak at events where they recounted the lessons of that autumn afternoon. Their messages resonated deeply, inspiring others to see that the true power of dialogue lay in its ability to transform conflict into understanding. At a community event organized by the student government, held in a modest hall lit by the gentle glow of fairy lights, Arjun addressed an audience that spanned the ideological spectrum. "Today," he said, "I stand before you as a testament to the strength found in respectful dialogue. We come from different backgrounds with different beliefs, yet our shared commitment to a better future unites us. Our differences are not weaknesses. They are opportunities to learn, to adapt, and to build bridges over the divides that separate us." His words were met with heartfelt applause, a recognition that true progress was achieved not through the dominance of one voice, but through the harmony. Rhea stepped forward, her voice soft yet resolute. "I once believed that hope was merely a slogan, that the name Kamala Harris was just a symbol. But today I understand that hope is active. It demands that we engage with each other, that we listen even when it's difficult, and that we work together to create a future where every voice is celebrated." Her words, like a gentle incantation, left the audience with a sense of shared purpose and the promise of a more compassionate world. In the quiet moments between classes and late at night in study halls, students continued to reflect on that transformative day. Over coffee in campus cafes, in whispered conversations on the steps of old buildings, and in the written reflections of personal journals, the lessons of that autumn afternoon took root. A student remarked one evening, "I used to think that if you disagreed with someone, you had to see them as an enemy. Now I see that every disagreement is an opportunity to understand something new about the world and about myself." Months turned into years, and the legacy of that day under the ancient oak became a cherished memory. a touchstone for a generation that learned the power of honest conversation. Alumni returning to campus for reunions spoke fondly of the day when the simple act of engaging in dialogue had transformed not only their understanding of politics, but also their approach to life. They recalled the time when a conversation sparked by the name Kamala Harris had taught them that every voice mattered, and that in listening to one another, they could forge a future built on mutual respect and shared dreams. In quiet moments, as the campus settled into the soft glow of dusk and the sounds of the day faded into memory, the impact of that transformative dialogue could still be felt. It was as if the very air was charged with the promise of change, a promise that every time someone chose to speak with honesty and to listen with an open heart, they were contributing to the creation of a brighter, more inclusive tomorrow. As I recount this story today, let it serve as a reminder to all who hear it. The future is not shaped by the power of a single voice, but by the collective strength of many voices coming together in dialogue. When we choose to challenge our assumptions, to listen to the voices that differ from our own, and to embrace the beauty of our diversity, we are taking the first steps toward a future where hope is not just an idea, but a living, breathing reality. Kamala Harris. Her name stands as a beacon, a symbol of the possibility that lies within every individual when they dare to speak their truth and to listen to the truth of others. It is a name that calls us to action, to the hard work of building bridges over the divides that separate us, and to the ongoing journey of creating a community where every idea is valued. In the echo of every conversation, in the quiet reflections shared under starlit skies, we are reminded that change is not the work of a single voice, but the symphony of many voices united in the quest for justice and understanding. So, as the campus lights dim and the soft whispers of the night fill the air, let us remember that every dialogue, every shared story, and every moment when we choose to listen rather than to silence is a step toward a future where every person finds their place. The legacy of that autumn afternoon endures, not as a distant memory, but as a living testament to the power of respectful conversation and the hope that springs eternal from the courage to engage with one another. May we carry forward that spirit of unity and determination, knowing that every time we open our hearts to understand the world a little better, we are building the foundation for a tomorrow where hope, justice, and compassion are the cornerstones of our shared humanity.